Here's one of my favorite ways to crochet pumpkin stems. Select the yarn and hook of your choice. In my case, I'm using a worsted weight 4 yarn and a 6mm size J crochet hook. We're going to use a method that's very similar to the alternative turning chain. I'll link to that video if you want to check it out, but I'm going to walk you through all the steps. Start off by making a slip knot and then put the slip knot onto your hook. What I want to do is begin by chaining one. So I'm going to yarn over and pull this loop through, but I want to keep a little bit of slack in this yarn right here. So I'm going to hold on to it with my fingers when I pull that through. So I've done a chain one and I'm trying to keep that back bump a little bit loose. What I want to do next is I'm going to insert my crochet hook under that back bump and I'm going to work a single crochet. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 to work a single crochet. Then I'm going to find the left vertical bar of what I just worked and I'm going to work a single crochet in that spot. So I will insert my hook underneath from right to left, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So what I've done so far is I've made that chain and then I've essentially stacked 2 single crochet. And I'm going to repeat until my pumpkin stem is as tall as I want. I'm going to work one more single crochet for this pumpkin. So again, go to the left vertical strand of what I just worked, insert my hook underneath it from right to left, and work a single crochet by yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through 2. That looks like a nice height for this pumpkin stem. To finish this up, I'm going to cut a longish tail and then yarn over and pull that tail all the way through to fasten it off. To finish this up, I want to work this long tail down through my stitching so it comes out by the other yarn tail. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to stick my hook underneath the top 2 vertical bars and pull my tail on through. Then I'm going to go to the set of vertical bars beneath it and insert my hook from the opposite direction underneath those vertical bars, yarn over and pull it through, and keep repeating this all the way down where I'm working right, left, right. So this time we're back to going right to left under the vertical loops. And with this stage, you do not at all have to insert and pull the yarn through exactly where I'm showing. I'm just giving you a rough idea of how I do it. And then I'll just pull it on down through this last little loop here, kind of through that initial chain that we worked. If I want to give my pumpkin stem some shaping, I can kind of pull on this tail and look, I can shrink it down, make it a little stockier, or I can leave it tall. I'm going to make it nice and stocky. This is fun because you can play around with it and really create some unique shapes and textures. With my 2 tails here, I'm just going to tie them off a couple times. And that's how I make my pumpkin stem. You have a few options for fastening this. You can use the long tails to sew it to your pumpkin. You can use hot glue, cut the tails off, and just hot glue it to your pumpkin. Or like I'm going to show here, you can leave the tails attached, hot glue it to your pumpkin, and then undo the ply of the tails to create little curlicues. Something that's great about this method of making pumpkin stems is you can customize how chunky it is. Now you could use a thicker yarn and a larger hook, or if you want to use a yarn that's thinner, you can just double it or triple it or quadruple it up. I'm going to make one that's a little chunkier for this pumpkin, and I'm going to double up. I've got a yarn cake here, so I will pull from the outside and the inside. If I wanted to quadruple this up, I would pull out a lot of slack and just fold the yarn into fourths and work with all 4 strands together. However, this is not long enough to make a pumpkin stem, so you'd have to have a really nice long length. But since I'm just going to use 2 strands, I'm just going to pull from either end of my cake. And the good news is the steps are exactly the same. I'm going to use the same hook size, but you could of course go up a hook size. Let me show you one more time how we make this stem. Holding both strands together as if they were one piece of yarn, I begin by making a slip knot and putting it onto my hook, and then I'm going to chain 1. And when I chain one, I want to be able to keep this back nub a little bit loose, so I personally like to hold on to it while I pull my yarn through to create that chain one. Then in that back nub of the chain one that I kind of held on to, I'm going to work a single crochet. So insert my hook there, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two. That's my first single crochet. Then I'm going to insert under this left vertical bar. Now really it's 2 strands because I'm working with 2 strands of yarn, so make sure you go under both of them. But insert the hook from right to left and work a single crochet by yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarning over, pull through 2. So I've stacked 2 single crochet. For this particular pumpkin stem, I feel like stacking 4 single crochets. So again, insert and work a single crochet. We're kind of stacking them up, working in the left vertical bar of the single crochet that we just worked. So that's my 4 stacked single crochet for this pumpkin stem. As you can see, it's a lot chunkier because I'm using doubled up yarn. After I cut my tail, I'll pull it on through my loop to fasten this off. And then I'm going to weave this tail piece down to the bottom. Again, there is no signs with this. I'm just going to kind of go under some strands from right to left, just going across the front, and pull the tail on through. Again, you do not have to work exactly where I'm working. Then go from left to right with my hook under some front strands, pull the tail on through, go under some front strands from right to left, pull the tails through, and then I'll just kind of go through down here somewhere just to get it down near the bottom. There's my pumpkin stem. I can hold it against this pumpkin. I can leave it long. I think that's a really tall pumpkin stem, so personally I'm going to just cinch it down a little bit by just kind of pulling on the tail that I wove through. There we go, nice and chunky, lots of texture. That looks good. Tie a few knots at the bottom. In this one, I'm not going to leave the long ends, so I'll cut them off and hot glue my stem into place. How cute. So that's how I make pumpkin stems. You can hardly tell the difference from the real one. I mean, maybe a little bit, but honestly, very cute, and it's a very forgiving style of pumpkin stems, and once you get the hang of it, they're quick to whip up. Hope y'all enjoyed this video, and as always, if you did, be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel for more awesome crafting content. I'll catch you next time. Happy crafting!